Hello and what is up, YouTube? It's G3 Iron, your beardless, balding buddy here, and we've got news today about a restart and a small patch coming from Grinding Gear Games regarding the ongoing 321 Crucible League, and this feels a little strange to me. Typically, what it used to be, remember I took a break from Path of Exile for a year. I missed the whole arch nemesis controversy, and I'm getting back into the loop, as it were. Last league, all I did was play Ruthless, so I'm just getting back into the regular things. So every comment I'm going to say here today about what's going on with Crucible and feedback for Crucible and how Crucible is coming from a quote-unquote older perspective, a back in my day sort of perspective. And this seems weird to me. It used to be that when a league launched over opening weekend, we would get some level of communication, official communication, from either a employee on the community relations side. It used to be Bex. I understand Bex is no longer in that position anymore. A lot of things have changed with inside Grinding Gear Games to specifically make it so that way certain individuals don't have to feel like they have to respond to everything, whether that's Bex, whether that's Chris, whether that's other members of the community relations team. I think that's in general a good thing, by the way. Anyway, the pattern used to be we would get communication from either Bex or Chris or some member of the community team regarding how launch went. There are multiple historic posts on this topic. They're all available on the Path of Exile forum and on the official release spots of where Grinding Gear Games makes all of these sorts of announcements. And this is strange to me. I like the live updates thing that they're doing. I like this. Like, hey, we just have got a website where you can go and look at live updates. I like that. It's also a little strange because this almost feels like a Discord bot. Like, this almost feels like the sort of thing that Discord bots are made for, to simply post like, hey, an automatic post has come out by Grinding Gear Games. Like, we've got that on our Discord, on our G3 Discord. I know lots of other users and communities inside Path of Exile use similar sorts of things that essentially push out, hey, when there's a post by a Grinding Gear employee, then a bot will take that, copy, paste it, and post it onto Discord. It feels almost like a Twitter thing, where GGG is just like, hey, if you want to know what's going on, go check this one thing. And that's fine. That's fine. I like that in theory, that we've got a one-stop shop to see how GGG is, improving and continually working on the league. However, it is very impersonal. It is not very explanatory, right? It's just going to be informational. And so from a community engagement standpoint, this feels very different from what things used to be like between Grinding Gear Games and the player base. So for instance, I can remember back in the day when concurrent player record numbers were broken. Chris wrote a post about that. Just straight up said, hey, we had a great weekend. We broke record number of players. It's been an awesome league, blah, blah, blah. And to some extent, it is just a lot of players don't appreciate that. It is just blah, 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 business speak, talking up the league and saying, hey, we're going to continue to work on the league and improve the league. And some people hate that. It's filled with quote-unquote cliches and platitudes, business language platitudes. But at the same time, it is more personal, right? And Path of Exile, to a certain extent, is a very personal game. You know the people who you watch streaming the game, right? That's a big part of Path of Exile as a community, is the communities of players who all stream and play together. You feel like you know the people who work at Grinding Gear Games. Like, literally, you're on a first-name basis with them. They might not be on a first-name basis with you, but folks don't refer to the developers at Grinding Gear Games as the developers. People just say Chris, right? People don't refer to the community development team. They just talk about Bex. Anyway, so this feels interesting to me. This feels strange. Okay, so here's what the information is. And I have no personal touches from, Grinding Gear Games to add to this. I just have speculation as a balding, bearded guy. So Crucible Day 4, here's the patch. It's restartless, and here's the info. Crucible League changes. Crucible monsters now have much less damage reduction, except when channeled to maximum difficulty. So a lot of players have been complaining about how difficult it is to take down monsters, and so hopefully this will help with that. Crucible monsters now have less life at all levels, most notably in Part 2 of the campaign and in low-tier maps. In addition, Crucible bosses have had their life further reduced by roughly 20%. So that should be good news, right? A lot of players who have been complaining about how difficult it is to kill monsters should feel like this is an improvement. These two things should make it so that way there's less people complaining about how hard it is to kill monsters and actually interact with the Crucible mechanic. It's what's missing from these patch notes that we'll talk about here in a minute that will continue to bring on people complaining and maybe potentially leave a lasting impression of this league. Increase the amount of Crucible passive skill tree experience gained from encounters, particularly for encounters that are not fully channeled. This should result in smoother progression on the experience bar while channeling. This to me is a no-brainer. It's easy to write up a simple sentence summary to say the draw of the Crucible League is for players to interact with the new power that is available behind Crucible passive skill trees on weapons. And so we have decided to make the most interesting and exciting parts of Crucible more accessible, and therefore more players will enjoy the fruits of their labor as they continue to progress crafting their Crucible weapon, etc. Like, if Crucible is just going to be a crafting league, it's not going to be a currency league, it's not going to be anything else, which, by the way, I have no problem with. Design philosophy-wise, GGG wants to make a crafting league, wants to make a high-end crafting league just for weapons and throw passive trees on it. I think that's perfectly fine. That's my own personal opinion. You can disagree with me down below in the comments. My opinion on that is fine. If you're going to do that, then you need to make it so that way players want to do that at all levels, right? Not just at the highest tier of red maps, making passive trees relevant on the highest item level basis. If you do that, you're actually going to get pretty limited interactions with the league, because a lot of people are going to feel like it's just not worth it. Increase the drop rate of, I can't even say this word, igneous. I've just been saying ingenious nodes. I know it's wrong, but anyway, increase the drop rate of igneous geodes. Lower tier Crucible monsters are now more likely to drop these. Note, geodes have a higher chance to drop in high tier maps, and their drop chance is affected by item quantity. So this is a clue in to play Magic Find with item quant and to go into high tier maps if you're able, right? That's what this is. So, hey, if you want to interact more with the specific currency that drops from this league, here's a way to do it. So in case any players didn't know that, it seems to be, as has often been the case with many older crafting leagues in Path of Exile's history, if you want top-end stuff, push top-end content. That's not a shock. That shouldn't come as a shock to anybody. And frankly, anybody who's complaining about that, oh, Iron, I thought once I interacted on the second encounter, as soon as I left Lion Eye's Watch, that I would just drop a weapon with an awesome ultimate passive tree. You have unhealthy expectations. It is a general truism in Path of Exile that the higher content you push, the better your rewards are, right? That's a general truism, and dating all the way back to Legion League. Legion League, does anybody remember Legion League where we were low tier map farming? Since Legion League, Grinding Gear Games has been on a crusade to systematically destroy low-level Magic Find and low-level currency, quick grind sort of stuff. That's a different discussion for a different day. I'm not going to argue philosophically that's better or worse for one way or the other at the moment. I've got my own economic opinions about that. But that has been the trend. So it shouldn't shock us that it's like, hey, go play high-tier red maps if you want more of these nodes. Or geodes, sorry. Igneous? Anyway, however you pronounce them. If you want more geodes, play high-tier maps. It shouldn't shock anybody. They're, again, just reminding us and being explicit about it. Added a Crucible item filter to the miscellaneous filters section on the Path of Exile trade website. That's kind of cool. That's a nice little thing that GGG is officially now like throwing out. Continued progression on the trade website. We like that. The trade website, any improvements that come to trade are good improvements, if they're actually improvements. So that's good. We like that. Okay. Some other fixes here. You can now dismiss the unclaimed Kirax Vault rewards notification with right-click. The notification will reappear when you earn a new reward or when you next log in. I'm still not sure how I feel on this whole Kirax reward thing. I posted before the league. I was like, dude, if this is attached to the purchasing system, then this is just straight up pay to win, and I'm no longer comfortable playing this game. I'm glad that I was wrong about that. It's free. It's just in-game rewards for essentially progressing and doing in-game quests. I still don't know how I feel about it because it's still also attached to a promotion for in-game purchases. So it's definitely not pay to win, but boy, it's straddling that fence. It's really straddling it. It's like, well, we're not going to be pay to win, but we're going to show you where you can go to purchase more MTX. It really is a clever marketing thing, but boy, it's anyway. There's a lot of things. There's a lot of things to think about. There. I think a couple years ago, if the whole Vault Pass system would have come out, GGG would not have been hailed as innovators in this way. They would have been seen as like some kind of scammy kind of mobile thing. And people are even now still saying this kind of feels like a scammy mobile thing. So it's just kind of interesting. All right, and then a couple of bug fixes. Fixed a bug where explosives in the Orloth origin of the fall encounter were not destroying crystals, fixed an instant crash, and fixed a client crash. This patch was deployed without restarting the server, so you'll need to restart your client to receive the client changes. Okay, so here's where we need to talk about currency drops and rewards in the league. The thing that's missing from this list is potentially the biggest piece of feedback that I've seen from players, which is just interacting with Crucible, is not loot rewarding. It's not rewarding in terms of loot. I think that's what people mean when I'm reading and listening, and from what I'm hearing. Players want a loot pinata, right? We've had leagues before that are loot pinatas. Folks, Crucible, I hate to be the bearer of bad news. Crucible is not by design a loot pinata league. Crucible is a top-end crafting league. That's what it's designed to be. You may not like that. You may think that stinks. You may feel misled through hype stuff. I hope you don't feel misled here through all of the news that we've done and the coverage and the discussions that we've had here at Good Guy Gaming, because we've been talking about how Crucible is going to make the most powerful weapons in Path of Exile history. That's not going to happen in Act 1, right? So there's not necessarily just currency that's being pumped out from these encounters. Players might feel bad about this. It is not the loot pinata sort of league. I'm thinking about coming up with some sort of tier system or ranking system or preview system or prediction system. I'm trying to think through this over the weekend of trying to come up with a system whereby we right here at Good Guy Gaming can, put out a video or something that says, attached with each league cycle and each league hype cycle, like, hey, this is what this league is looking like. And we've tried to do that in the past where we've maybe made some comparisons to previous leagues, but I'm trying to think through how we could really systematically give a hard look and a comparison to say to players, if you liked this style of content in the past, this is the new style of content that looks to be coming with the new league, and here's reasons why you might enjoy that, and here's reasons why you might not enjoy that, just to help people set expectations. I am having an absolute blast playing Crucible. I haven't gotten to play it for most of the weekend as I was out of state, away from my office, traveling for new work and finding new homes with family. But since I've returned over the weekend, I've been having a blast. I've already got Pathfinder up to level 57, and then yesterday I streamed a bit, and I got an Elementalist up through Act 4 just in a couple of hours. I'm having an absolute blast with it. The things that are missing, I think, from Crucible might actually be the things that define Crucible long-term in the Path of Exile zeitgeist, in the thought process of the community, in the impression, leaving an impression on the community. It's going to be, well, it's not a loot pinata league, and maybe a lot of people came in thinking it would be. It's not a league where there's particularly low-level rewards, which, again, should not come as a shock, but it is something that players do miss. Players miss being able to low-level farm stuff and interact with the league mechanic. And I got to say, just personally on that, I agree to a certain extent. It feels bad when you walk past a league mechanic. That feels bad. You want to be interacting with the league mechanic, and so it does feel bad to walk past the league mechanic and not interact with it. So when you're walking past a Crucible and you're like, well, there's monsters there, there's XP there, but I don't have the weapon that I really want to craft on or work on, or I just need to get to maps because of this line right here. High-level stuff is in red tier maps, and so that's where I need to get to. It can create kind of a treadmill sort of FOMO, sort of rat race sort of thing. And for some players, that's motivating. And frankly, for some people, it's unhealthy because they're addicted. to their game, and so that can be unhealthy. For a lot of other players, it can simply create a burnout effect where they go, you know what, this isn't worth it, and I'm done playing. So there's a lot here. Maybe it's the loot pinata thing that's missing. Maybe it's the personal touch of communication from Grinding Gear Games thing that's missing. There's a lot of things here that seem like there could be improvements. At the same time, I'm somewhat sympathetic with Grinding Gear Games because Chris and the whole team, again, there I go using first names. The entire team there at Grinding Gear Games, for years they've communicated with the player base, and the player base comes out, myself included, and we still just blast them with critiques. So this is a relatively harmless way of anybody at the team to receive, any mental damage, as it were. Receive 1d4 mental damage, whatever you post on behalf of your company. It seems like this is a way to protect employees. And if I'm an employee of Grinding Gear Games, I would actually be pretty stoked about this. That maybe we're going to get less hate on the various avenues and communications platforms with our community. But anyway, if you're not having fun with Crucible, here's what I'll say. Over the opening weekend, if you're not having fun with Crucible, the only way to lose playing a video game is not having fun. So don't force yourself to play a game where you're not having fun. If you see the potential to have fun with any of these bonkers items that are now coming out after the first weekend or so, where players are going, look, I've actually got a weapon that's got 3 to 4 passives on it that are absolutely insane and that are genuinely helpful to my build. If you haven't been able to make that for yourself, but you can start to see some of those things being posted or being shared, then I would encourage you, those things are getting made because players are playing in high-tier content. If you've never played in high-tier content before, then maybe set that as a goal for yourself, just to reach the high-end content. Maybe not to make yourself, a mirror-worthy weapon. You're not going to do that most likely. But maybe set some red-tier maps as your goal. Maybe you've never done red-tier maps, and you've never experienced what a League mechanic at the top end can be of Path of Exile content. So maybe you won't produce top-end results, but maybe you can experience top-end content. Maybe that might be fun for you. If that doesn't sound fun for you, again, the only way you're losing playing a video game is not having fun. So make sure that you're enjoying your hobby time and that the time that you're putting into your games is enjoyable and is thoroughly rewarding to you in the ways that you are hoping for it to be rewarding to you. Okay, so that's it. I don't expect there now to be a statement from GGG. Like, I don't expect a letter. I don't expect a manifesto. So in that regard, if GGG comes out with one, I would be pleasantly surprised. But I am somewhat surprised in between the last video and today's video, GGG not necessarily having something personal. I mean, they broke the Steam concurrent users record. That's big news. That's good news. It's interesting. It's very interesting, the communication patterns at the moment that are going on. And hopefully everything's just related to ExileCon and POE 2 and everything like that. But boy, I have a bad feeling that POE 2 is just doing a lot of hope work. There's every single person right now that is experiencing anything that's unfun or less than what they desire in Path of Exile is just putting all of their hopes on POE 2 and just going, well, this will be fixed in POE 2. And that is a really bad recipe as an entire community to have, because we're putting way too much expectations on a single game release, whether that's, a full-on game release with all sorts of different wonderful things that are included in it, but there's just a lot of hopes that are being put on POE 2 that most certainly will not be realized. Just like with every patch, there's a lot of hopes that are put on each patch that are not necessarily fully realized. Okay, later on this week, I'm going to continue streaming and continue playing. I'm playing my Pathfinder character off stream. I'm going to play my Elementalist Witch that will eventually use the new awesome Spectres, potentially on stream, so I'll be streaming later on in the week. And then also we will do a meta overview. We'll probably do an economy overview as well, because I haven't done any of those like in years, so that would be fun to get back in and to do some economy stuff. And that's the plan for the rest of the week. And of course, if there's news, we'll continue to keep you updated right here at Good Guy Gaming. So thanks so much for joining us today for today's discussion. Love to hear your thoughts and your feedback, your comments down below. And as always, if you're still playing the Crucible League, then I hope the ongoing 321 Crucible League is the league. A Mirror of Calandra drops for you. Thanks for watching that video. If you'd like more information on any of our discussion points today, you can see them down below in the video description. If you'd also like to join our Discord or support our Patreon, you can do so with the links down below. Thanks again, and big shout out to all of our Patreon supporters.